Okay, guys, we're hooked onto a brand new 740 FD Draper header on an S680 combine here right now, and I just want to go through the header calibration sequences as this combine has never ever been hooked onto this header, and I just want to go through the calibration sequences that need to be done on these combine to header calibrations so that all of our auto functions work properly. So the tilt range on our Contour Master, again, I don't worry too much about that unless you've had to change a potentiometer or had to adjust a potentiometer. Then I would recenter my tilt range. But tilt speed is crucial that it is done. And again, combine on level ground, running at high idle. So raise feeder house fully, just wants me to be able to clear the ground with this. Hit my left switch. Now hit my right switch. And what you can see moving, the numbers on the bottom of the page are actually millivolts, and it's the amount of volts that is being sent to the valve to start moving it is what it is. So I'm holding my right switch, and it's just doing some thinking to try to learn how heavy this header is to tilt from side to side. On the S7 series, it doesn't show us that, it just shows us the steps. My left switch again now. Prompts me to my right switch. Left again. Right now. You can see the green bar graph on the top. It shows us our progress, and we're going to enter that as it's complete. Now I'm going to bring me back to level on my corner post. Okay, and now I am going to do the feeder house raise speed. So basically, again, we're going to teach the combine how heavy this header is. And so it wants me to press and hold my aft on my feeder house tilt switch. Lower feeder house resting on the ground. Next step to continue. Press and hold my raise. And again, just like the 700 series, it comes up about 8 inches and starts learning the weight of the header via valve opening. And as you can see, the progress bar has just about got us completed. And calibration is complete. Okay, now this will also ask me to do a real resume, a real position calibration, which I'm going to do right now ahead of my header cal, just to have it done. I'm going to lift my header just a little bit off the ground. It's looking for a real extend right now. Continue holding that real extend, real lower. Real raise. And a real retract. And that calibration is complete. Okay, now we're going to do a header calibration. This is the important one that allows us to, whether we're cutting on the ground in flex mode or off the ground in rigid mode, this is the one that has us all of our auto header functions functioning properly. So it wants me to take my feeder house forward, and it'll stop when it's happy. Now lower feeder house resting on the ground. Next step, press and hold my raise switch. I'm calibrating this header in flex right now. Okay, and it wants me to decrease my cutter bar pressure. So I go to my header bar and I take my roller dial and I roll that cutter bar pressure down. And it'll dump at about 1,000. Okay, press and hold my lower switch. Press and hold my raise switch. AHC flex mode is calibrated. Now it's going to prompt me, I'm going to enter that calibration, and it's going to prompt me to do a performance tuning, and I want to do that. So basically it has me pressing and holding my lower switch, and as it does that, the header will go up and down all on its own via the controller, letting me know that I have full auto header height control functions. Calibration is complete, and we are ready to set up our auto page on our auto header height control function is set. Our number 1 button for our auto header resume is set. If you use dial of speed, I would have that check marked. If I don't, I would uncheck it. My real resume, another one, if I want a real position to be preset, I would have that checked. My auto contour master I want checked. And if you want to have your header return to a feeder house faceplate position, I will have that checked. So I want to show you what I do here with that one. So on my number 1, I want to set that feeder house on. My number 1 button thinks we're combining right now. I'm going to set this header at a height that I'm going to turn around at the end of the field. And that's an operator preference, okay? Now my number 2 button, I want set for most of my lentils. I want a fairly light knife. They're standing fairly good. So I'm going to boost my cutter bar pressure to about 1700 PSI. That is an extremely light knife. And I'm able to do that at a +2, okay? Now, to lock in my +2 feeder house fore aft position, I press and hold my number 2 button. That will lock me in at a +2. So at 1700 PSI, +2 with my feeder house faceplate, I am doing an enormously good job of cleaning 80% of my lentils up, okay? But I have a number 3 button set with a lower PSI. I'm gonna have it set at about 1350. Gives me more weight on my knife, a little tighter to the ground, but I'm also gonna lock in a plus 3.5 on my feeder house faceplate. And that way, as I'm getting into my lodged areas, I can actually get those lodged lentils, come out of those areas, tap my 2, not only bring up my cutter bar pressure to make it a lighter knife, but I tilt my feeder house back a little bit, thus tilting my header back with allowing me less risk of picking a rock. So these are settings that we can make to our likings for our field conditions, and of course number 1 brings us back for turning around at the end of the field. That's a complete header calibration in flex mode, and you would do the same sequence by lowering the sticks for cutting off the ground.